When you're upgrading your instrument, there's a lot of things you need to think about, but it doesn't need to be intimidating. Julian is here to talk us through the buffet intermediate and semi-professional range and assure you that it doesn't need to be complicated or confusing. Let's have a look. You've got the E11, the E12F and the E13. Let's start with the E11.
So the E11 is the first wooden intermediate clarinet in the range, and also the entry point for a lot of the harmony clarinets. So that would be, other than B flat, A clarinet, C clarinet, bass clarinet, etc. And that's not so common actually with to have one model represented across lots of different instruments or clarinets in the range. So that's a nice thing to have. These three instruments, especially the E11 and the E12F, have a lot of similarities. The E13 is the top of that range, what you could call the sort of semi-professional. And the differences are quite nuanced. They are all made from Grenadilla wood, and you will see most clarinets from this range upwards will be made out of Grenadilla wood. And
what is the benefit of Grenadilla wood to the player who is advancing?
So instruments, all wind instruments, have been made from lots of different woods over the years, and most now are made from Grenadilla, which is a very dense tropical hardwood. And it's the best for a multitude of different reasons. Firstly, well, not so important to the player, the manufacturing and machinability, but also stability. Wood will move a little bit with temperature, and there are certain things you have to do when you get a wooden clarinet to ensure that it will last a long time. Moisture is the enemy, really. And unfortunately, as we play, it's very humid air that we put down the instrument. So always make sure your clarinet is completely dry after you finish playing.
Cleaning it is so important, isn't it?
I have seen, we don't want to talk about what I've seen actually over the years.
The horror stories.
There are some, but check underneath every single pad. Even if you haven't played some of those keys, check under every pad and make sure there's no residual water. But yeah, making sure it's completely dry when you put it away. So there's a level of increased care when you get to a wooden instrument. Temperature changes. Never, for example, leave it in a car overnight. Don't put it next to a radiator. If it's very cold and you start playing it, the temperature differential, of course, then you can create some problems. So, but it sounds like a lot, and some people think, well, that's a lot to consider. But it's a few very key things, and once you get into the habit, it's fine. And when you do get a new wooden instrument, it's quite important to break it in as well. So, and there's some different theories on this, but what I like to do is, don't take the instrument out and start playing it for hours a day. I admire you practicing for hours a day in the first instance, but a small amount of time, maybe 15 or 20 minutes, and you start to increase that over the weeks, and very quickly then, you'll be able to play it as much as your heart desires. The biggest thing though with Grenadilla and wooden instruments is the sound. You get a depth of sound, a warmth of sound, that you just is unachievable with synthetic instruments. So if you're really serious about playing and wanting to advance, then a wooden instrument is the place you need to.
It's key to upgrading your sound, isn't it? You're just going to go leaps and bounds once you've upgraded to that.
You have to, essentially. And these instruments, all three of these actually will last you quite a long time in your playing as you develop as a clarinetist. So yes, whilst the E11 and the E12F, there are there are some slight differences. Then the E13 is another quite a significant step up from there. And the E13 is something that you'd be able to play well into your playing life.
Oh yeah,
So-
that could be your forever instrument. If you're sort of an amateur and you're playing in bands and not playing every day as a professional,
Of course.
this would be more than good to keep you going for the rest of your life if you needed it to.
Yeah, all three lovely instruments, all made in Europe.
Yep.
And of course, French company designed.
Designed in France, all designed in mind with all the acoustic knowledge that you need.
Yeah, and with a vast history of making
Yeah.
clarinets. I mean, we're going back 200 years.
200 years now, yeah.
And so to take that knowledge and that expertise into three slightly different avenues, if you like, into intermediate and professional clarinets is quite fascinating. And yeah, as you then advance even further, if you want to go up in the range, it will feel familiar. And I think that's also a very nice, comforting thing as a clarinetist, that from your first instrument that you start on, whether that's a synthetic, in the buffet range, for example, to then an intermediate, to then, let's say, something top of the range, there is a certain comfort to it feeling the same,
Yes.
and having a lot of the same sonic similarities, if you like. But yeah, these three instruments I think are fantastic, and yeah, can really take you quite far in your playing life.
With these instruments, they do bring the professional features down into this range. So, for example, with the E13, you've got actually the bell is designed to match the RC bell, which is the top of the range.
Yes, and I think it's very important that there is a lot of continuity through the range that Buffet make, and even down into very small specific things like the springs. And it's important to take those features from the professional instruments and have them trickle down into these intermediate and semi-professional lines. And it means that the instrument isn't the limiting factor as we as clarinetists get better at playing, which I think is very important.
You don't want your instrument to hold you back.
Certainly not.
It needs to grow with you, and these instruments are perfect for that.
Oh, certainly, yes. And I think what's very important as you try them is to find the one that suits you and suits your playing the best. And on that point, the way that when we try instruments, it's very important to have someone there to listen as well and to offer their feedback, because the sound that we hear is slightly different actually to what someone will hear in a concert hall.
Yeah, of course.
And a lot of the sound that we hear actually is internal from the inner ear. So whilst we can a lot of the time think about how it feels, and sometimes resistance as well. Resistance is something you'll hear talked about a lot, and that's quite simply how hard it feels to play and to get the sound down. And they will vary. Different models have different resistance, but also then colour of sound. Some will be slightly brighter or slightly darker sound, and so to have someone there that you trust their opinion is very, very important. The last thing on trying instruments that I also think is incredibly important is to play the same thing on every clarinet.
Yes.
So many people I've heard will pick up one, they play something, the next clarinet, they play something completely different. And
whether it's just scales, just something you know really well, something you can play by ear and you're confident in, it just makes that difference if you know what you expect to come out of the instrument.
Yes. And the most simple things are the most important.
Yeah.
So play a scale, the whole range of the instrument, or your whole range, at different dynamics. So something fairly loud, fairly quiet, legato, staccato, different articulation, because you will also feel sometimes resistance of the instrument, or the way the instrument and the board design will impact the articulation.
Yes,
so
definitely.
different articulation, different range, and then you can start to play a few different excerpts of pieces that you know and love. And also, of course, having a tuner there can be also very important. But yes, please play the same excerpts, the same things. It doesn't have to be anything particularly fancy. Sometimes scales are the best thing no matter what you're doing.
Yeah.
And the most important thing, and technique. But yeah, when you're trying instruments, just keep it simple. And, you know, if you need to, you can have a little notebook and make some notes as you go, because it can be quite a confusing process.
It's difficult, isn't it? Choosing your perfect instrument is just so personalized, and it's really important for you as well, because it really depends on the situation that you want to play it in.
Yes, it does. And you want, a lot of people talk about an instrument that, it sounds a bit cliche, sort of, they say an extension of them.
Yes.
But something that you're not going to have to think too much about everything you do on the instrument. Okay, I have to change this, or I have to do this to get this.
Yeah.
And of course, some of that comes with time. The more used to an instrument you become.
You become used to its nuances in the way that it kind of becomes used to yours.
Exactly. And certainly going from a synthetic instrument to a wooden instrument is a difference in feel.
Probably the biggest jump that you can sort of do in your instrument journey.
Yeah, certainly. So, yeah, knowing those things and knowing that it might feel slightly different compared to, depending what you've played previously. So yeah, there are a few things there to look out for, and an instrument will change slightly over time as you will adapt to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, but trying a few, and you don't have to. Some people can pick an instrument immediately. As soon as they pick it up, they say, yes, that's the one.
This is for one for me.
Other people can take, even professionals I've seen, can take days to pick an instrument.
Just keep going back to the same thing.
Yeah, and then they get confused which is which. So
yeah.
Try not to overcomplicate it too much. If you can start narrowing it down fairly soon into, let's say, one or two models, if you're looking at multiple models, and then you can try a few different instruments in the same model. Now, on that point, some people might think, well, if it's two instruments that are both, let's say E13, if I pick two, they're going to be exactly the same.
But they're not.
Yeah, they're not. Whilst the dimensions and everything about the instrument will be exactly the same.
Consistency is a big part of Buffet's process, isn't it? They are always going to make the same instrument, the same, like, dimensions are always going to be the same. The keywork's always going to have that level of perfection.
Yes.
But it's wood. It's a natural material.
Exactly, yes. And even like you say, the dimensions can be the same, but the wood then is the only differentiating factor. And each piece of wood will resonate slightly differently. And so you might find one that you prefer over another, in terms of sound, in terms of feel. And that is entirely personal. I've also been in many situations where I like one instrument and another clarinetist will prefer something completely different. And so over time, if you can sort of hone it down to the model specifically, rather than trying multiple models, and then maybe, and I wouldn't suggest trying 10, 15 of the same model, maybe a couple of the same model. And I'd say very quickly, you're gonna know. If you've gone through the process in the right way and not confused yourself, then you're gonna know. But having someone with you that has the expertise is very, very important. Even a couple of sets of ears that you trust will make the whole process easier. And I appreciate, even me talking about it now, people might think, well, there's a lot more to this process than I thought there was. But take your time, and you'll very quickly find the instrument that is right for you, really.
And that is the most important part.
It is.
So as we've talked about, upgrading your instrument doesn't need to be daunting. It's an exciting time and it should be a fun process to try and find the right instrument for you. So thank you, Julian, for talking us through the Buffet Intermediate range and what you need to think about when you're upgrading your clarinet. If you'd like to see more about Buffet clarinets or more from the Gear for Music Orchestral channel in general, like, rate and subscribe. Thank you very much.